My mother-in-law switched my birth control pills. Now she's raising the twins she didn't expect. I never planned to make my mother-in-law regret her meddling quite so dramatically, but karma has a way of delivering perfect justice. 5 years ago, my husband Jake and I were newlyweds with clear plans. Build our careers for a few years, travel, and then maybe consider children around 30. I was on birth control pills and meticulous about taking them at the same time every day. Then my mother-in-law Diane moved in temporarily after selling her house. She made no secret of her disappointment in our family planning timeline. At my age, I deserve grandchildren, she'd say at least weekly. You are being selfish waiting so long. I started noticing odd things about my pills. The packaging sometimes looked slightly different per ton, not enough to raise immediate alarm, but enough to make me pause when I mentioned it to Jake. When I mentioned it to Jake, he suggested I was being paranoid. 3 months after Diane moved in, I discovered I was pregnant. I was shocked and confused, knowing how careful I'd been. Jake was surprised but excited. Diane was ecstatic, perched suspiciously so. At my first ultrasound, we discovered why my careful planning had failed. Twins, I was overwhelmed, but Diane was practically dancing in the waiting room. 2 weeks later, while looking for a spare phone charger in Diane's room, I found an empty pill packet in her nightstand. It wasn't my regular prescription Perdit, was a look-alike sugar pill pack. Next to it was a receipt for a prank pill set from a novelty shop. I confronted her immediately, shaking with rage. Did you switch my birth control pills? Her response chilled me. Sometimes young couples need a little push. You'll thank me when you are holding your babies. I showed Jake the evidence that night. He was horrified and demanded his mother leave our home immediately. She refused, insisting she had rights as the grandmother and that we'd get over it once the babies arrived. What Diane didn't know was that Jake and I had been discussing our options since the ultrasound revealed twins. We weren't financially or emotionally ready for children, let alone 2 at once. After discovering her betrayal, our decision became clear. If you want these babies so badly that you'd violate my body and our trust, I told her, then you can raise them. We spent the remainder of my pregnancy preparing. I carried the twins to term while Jake and I consulted lawyers. We arranged for Diane to become the twins' legal guardian after birth, with financial support from us, but full daily responsibility falling to her. She thought we were bluffing until the day after I delivered 2 healthy boys. When the nurse brought them in and I directed her to hand them to Diane instead, the reality finally hit her. But I am 64, she stammered. I can't raise twins by myself. Sometimes grandmothers need a little push, I replied, using her own words. You'll thank us when you are holding your grandbabies. That was 4 years ago. Diane now lives in a small apartment near us. With the twins, Jake and I see the boys twice weekly and for overnight stays once a month. Parent-like, devoted aunt and uncle rather than parents. We provide financial support, but Diane handles the daily chaos of raising energetic twin boys in her mid-60s. Last week she called at 6 a.m., exhausted after the twins had been up all night with stomach flu. I never knew it would be this hard, she admitted. I thought you'd just handle everything while I enjoyed being a grandmother. That's exactly what you are, I reminded her. Their grandmother, and this is exactly what you wanted. Sometimes the most fitting consequence is giving someone exactly what they asked for.